Hey, it's finally summer break. What's up? It's the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite albums, and I'm not happy. No. And yeah, it's finally summer break. It's July 20th, and we have I think 2 weeks for summer break. So that's better than nothing. So today I'm gonna do an album review. I'm gonna continue on with the Kendrick Lamar album review series, and I'm gonna I'm gonna talk about Untitled, Unmastered. So Kendrick Lamar is a rapper from Compton, California, and he had been dropping a lot of amazing projects before Untitled, Unmastered. In the year 2011, he dropped Section 80, which is a really great rap album, even though it has its flaws. It's moody, it's melancholic, it has its very emotional moments, but also its jazzy highs. Kendrick Lamar always delivers dynamic, exciting flows with some really smart wordplays and witty one-liners. And then on the next album, he had improved his music a lot, and that album is Good Kid, Mad City. And man, I love Good Kid, Mad City. It sounds trendier, it sounds more mainstream, and he's collaborating with more mainstream people like Dr. Dre and Drake and J-Rock. But yet, the quality is still there. The production is extremely tasteful. The songs are catchy, colorful, and deep. But then it's the year 2015 when he dropped To Pimp a Butterfly, which is potentially the best rap album of the decade and also one of the best rap albums of all time in the history of mankind, because not only is it a really grand and beautiful concept album, Kendrick Lamar basically deconstructed hip-hop and all these song structures and defied a lot of the rules that hip-hop had set and made this set of very enjoyable tracks that are sometimes really funky, sometimes really soulful, sometimes really dark and intense, sometimes incredibly blissful and optimistic. And overall, To Pimp a Butterfly is just this really great artistic masterpiece, a really bold statement, and something that I don't think any rapper nowadays can top, because it is just a really quality rap album. And then immediately a year after To Pimp a Butterfly, it's the year 2016, and he dropped Untitled, Unmastered, which, judging by the very plain dark green brownish cover and the title Untitled Unmastered not capitalized at all, you can tell that it's more of an EP. It's a collection of tracks that are rather leftovers from To Pimp a Butterfly. And even though it's all leftovers on this EP, well, I'm just gonna consider this an album because it's 35 minutes long, it has 8 songs, and it does sound more like an album. So I'm just gonna call it an album. Even though it's all leftover tracks, they are all still catchy, well produced. The lyrics are amazing, the flows are still dynamic, and the production is still very tasteful. And once again, Kendrick Lamar deconstructs hip hop and makes all these songs with weird structures, and it's a really creative and innovative project. So yes, I am actually incredibly surprised that even Kendrick Lamar's leftovers are this great. So there are 8 untitled tracks on this album, and I'm gonna give a name to each track because I don't want to start off talking about a new song by saying the next track is untitled. So I'm just gonna call Untitled 1 Revelations, because on this track Kendrick Lamar talks a lot about the end of the world. Revelation being the last book of the Bible, of the New Testament, and it's basically about the end of the world, 7 angels, 7 horns, and wow, this track is intense. And the way the track starts off is actually really beautiful. It sounds like we're slowly returning back to the world of Kendrick Lamar in the beginning, and it sounds like an orchestra is trying to tune. You know, if you go to a concert, an orchestral concert. Before they would perform, they would tune their instruments. They would all play the A note, and then after that they would start performing. And this is what Revelation sound like in the beginning, just tuning, and it sounds like it's building up to the start of the track with these strings in the back and Bilal going saying some really sexual things, being kind of seductive and very dreamy. Push it back on, daddy. It's almost like he's doing ASMR, except it's the year 2016. And after that part, we get into the core part of the track where we get some really groany, intense bass and some really nice, crispy boom bap beats and some really intense pianos that just descends after every verse, and some really sparkly keyboards as well. And overall, it's just a really tense, dramatic, and cinematic opening for the album. And the lyrics, they are actually really apocalyptic, really dark, and really chaotic. Like, you can really feel the mayhem is happening, and Kendrick Lamar is just panicking left and right. The smell is disgusting, the heat is unbearable. Preachers touching on boys, run for cover, the paranoid. Atheists for suicide, planes falling out the sky, trains jumping off the track, mothers yelling he's alive, and so on and so forth. And at the end of the song, Kendrick Lamar talks about how he made to pimp a butterfly for you, how he tried to save mankind for you, you being God, assumably. And it's like, the end of the world is happening, and no matter how hard Kendrick Lamar tries to save the world with his music, he still fails because the end of the world is inevitable. And then the track just ends off with this really woozy, dreamy, drained and tired ending where Kendrick Lamar sings a little bit, duets a little bit with some backup singers, and it's a really stunning opening for Untitled, Unmastered. The second track is Get God on the Phone. It starts off with Pimp Pimp, hooray! And then after that, it starts to get freaky, but in a very quiet and subtle way. We get some pianos and horns and saxophones and keys just underneath the song at the beginning, and silently creeping up from beneath in a very beautifully snaky fashion. And it's wow. And then we get the beat, which is trap flavored, but it's very futuristic sounding, very, very flavorful, and the bass line is intoxicating. It's woozy, it's drunken, it's luxurious. Kendrick Lamar starts off by singing, and his singing is pretty fantastic actually, especially when he's cracking. And the song starts off with Kendrick Lamar singing, and his singing is pretty amazing. His voice constantly cracks, and it's like he's being possessed by all this money and fame and women, and he's just spending all of his money, and he's just a different person than who he really is in the inside when he's singing the song. And then after that, we get some really smooth, low-key rapping, and then at the last leg of the song, he just blows up and raps really loudly and dramatically. And what I really love about the song is that it sounds, lyrically, it's really over the top and blissful and, just crazy. But instrumentally, it's actually really dark and sinister, and it sounds like there's some sort of danger in this lifestyle. And I just really love Kendrick Lamar's performance, how he glides on top of the beat really, really smoothly. And the flows, they are super dynamic. And overall, it's an amazing song. So yeah, I'm giving Get God on the Phone and Revelations both a 10 out of 10. The third track is Untitled 03, and I'm just gonna call it What Did the Man Say? The man can be the Asian, the Indian, the black man, the white man. And on this track, it's more of a minimalistic track, nothing too dense instrumentally. We get some nice bubbly keys and some cartoony saxophones, and the beat sort of alternating between these strikes of keys. And lyrically, it's really interesting. Kendrick Lamar talks about different race, how they think, how they what are their desires, and how he paints these stereotypes uh, almost with a sense of humor. And it's actually really interesting and smart. And one line that stand out to me is, "Meditation is a must. It don't hurt if you try." And yeah, overall, even though not a really great track, not as extravagant as the second track and not as intense as Revelations, I still like it a lot. I'm feeling a 7 to an 8 out of 10. And yeah, the next track is Untitled 04, aka Head is the Answer, or I would like to call it Youth. And it's a relatively short track, about 1 minute and 30 seconds long, and it's basically an a cappella duet song. And the singing is actually pretty nice. It's really good, but there isn't really a beat on the track. Instead, we get some faint diddly guitars and some starry synths that occasionally pops up. And overall, it's a pretty scant track. Production-wise, it's not that great, but I still like that it's a really creative placement in the middle of the track list. It's sort of like an interlude, but then not quite. And I'm kind of feeling a 7 to a 6 out of 10. Not bad. Not great either. The fifth track is It Means the World to Me, and it's a stunning song. We get some really uneasy climbing guitar bass line. We get these very loosely slapped cymbals and these super beautifully luscious pianos. Some really tasteful and nostalgic horns, and paired with some really soft, dreamy, and sensual vocals. And it just, wow, it's instrumentally really stunning, really beautiful, and it just gives off this really dreamy vibe. It sounds like you're in the corner of the world, but you feel really okay about it. It's extremely beautiful. And man, and then Kendrick Lamar hops onto the track and delivers this really aggressive raw flow. And it's so aggressive, it's almost like backseat freestyle, but not quite, because this track feels a little bit more subdued. And man, it's a really beautiful song, and I really don't have much to complain about this song. I guess I'm giving it an 8 to a 9 out of 10. Yeah. And then up next we have the track Explain, which is also a really amazing song. It's tight, it's summery, it's catchy, it's sweet. We get some really nice syncopated beats. Boom, bop, 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 bop. These metamorphic supernatural forces dominate what I see. There are also extra percussions, like this shaky thing where you shake it and it's like psa, psa, psa. So yeah, overall it's instrumentally really sweet. CeeLo Green also performs on the track, which is really nice. And overall, I really enjoyed the song as well, feeling a 7 to an 8 out of 10. And then we have Untitled 07, Levitate. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm gonna call Untitled 06 Explain, but Untitled 07 is Levitate, and it's actually over 8 minutes long. And the first 2 minutes or so is the track Levitate, and boy, it is a fantastic rap song. One of the best songs in the year 2016, in my opinion. It starts off with Pimp Pimp Hooray! Again, similar to Get God on the Phone, except it's even weirder. It's even more otherworldly, and we get some really strange alien reversed keyboards in the beginning. That's just really weird. It sounds like we're being teleported to some sort of new dimension. It sounds like we are living inside of a weird video game, or in our dreams. It's like we're having a lucid dream and we're in this really dark and mysterious hallway, and we're trying to make it out of the hallway, and the walls and the ceiling and the ground, everything's just shape shifting, and it just gives off this really weird geometric topographic vibe that everything around you, all the colors are just melting into one another, into this weird thing, this weird landscape. So yeah, instrumentally, it's just what the hell, man. And we have Kendrick Lamar going, love won't get you as this, drugs won't get you as this, fame won't get you as this, chains won't get you as this. It's really special flow, special vibe. And then after that we get shut your fucking mouth and get some cash, you bitch. The ending is super echoey and reverby, and overall it's just an extreme highlight on the project for me. And it's just, man, not only does the song give off a really special vibe, I think lyrically, instrumentally, it's a really creative song that I just can't stop listening to. And then after that, we get some chopped up choir vocals that go left and right, channels in between them. And then after that, we get some really beautiful, prickly guitars and keys that just blossoms in the back. Reminds me of swans, a piece of the sky. It's really beautiful. We get Kendrick Lamar rapping on top. However, after that, we get 4 minutes of raw, unedited recording of Kendrick Lamar in the studio, just singing a raw demo acoustic version of Untitled for Youth. And while it's a really weird and long-winded detour on the album, I still like it in a way that this album sounds like the behind the scenes of To Pimp a Butterfly, and we see Kendrick Lamar actually in the studios behind this performance, and it's a really intimate moment. Untitled 08 completely defines the really ununiform pattern of Untitled 7, Levitate. Untitled 8 is Blue Faces, and it's really tight, crystal clear production, and it's a really straightforward synth funk jam that's extremely sweet and catchy. Why so sad? Walking around with them blue faces. And I really love the wordplay, blue faces being the faces printed on the money bills, but also at the same time sad faces. So it's a song about money, but also a song about happiness at the same time. And it's a really danceable and fun track to end off on the album. I just wish that there is a better ending to the track rather than just fizzing out or just abruptly stopping. But still, I can't really blame Kendrick Lamar on the production here, because after all, it's Untitled, Unmastered. And it's not supposed to be any grand conceptual album or anything, just 8 or 9 tracks grouped together as leftovers, and yet they are quality. They are extremely enjoyable, really catchy. So yeah, at this point, I really don't know if Kendrick Lamar could come out with a bad song anymore, because every song that he had ever written is good. So yeah, very colorful, really tasteful, really creative. Love the album. Maybe I love this even more than Section 80. My favorite track on the album is Untitled 07, Levitate, and my least favorite is Untitled 04, Head is the Answer, or Youth, and I'm giving Kendrick Lamar's Untitled Unmastered an 8 out of 10, a strong 8. So, have you listened to this album from 1 to 10? How much did you rate it? Like if you like it, hate if you hate it, and subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching. Oh, I miss my friends.